Okay, so this is just going to be a quick introduction video to show how to start a Revit file. So I've opened up Revit here. I'm going to click on New. You got a couple of templates in here. We're not really going to work on any other type of template other than architectural. You might think that structural might be related to what you want to do, but the one structural assignment we are going to do this semester, I'll show you how you can also do it in an architectural template. So we're not really going to have any other use for other types of templates at this time in this semester. So click architectural template, create new project. We're not really creating a project template in this case because we're just going to do one-off type of projects until we get more familiar with things. And then I'm going to hit OK. So it opens up a bunch of stuff. As you can see, let's start with, well, you know what, let's start with what we're familiar with. So we've got a whole bunch of buttons at the very top here. And so these should be relatively familiar. The Save button, Open button, Print. There's a couple of other types of tools up here, shortcuts. We don't really have to worry too much about that. This button we'll use a little bit. That's the 3D button. You can also use a camera and a walkthrough. Sometimes you just click right on it. This button up here is thin. Right now it's set to thin lines. I can click it again. I suppose that gives it thick lines. If you hover over any button, it kind of gives you an idea of what it's supposed to do. So it displays all lines on screen as single width regardless of zoom level. When this tool is disabled, all lines display on screen as they will be printed. So maybe we want to disable it. Actually, for looking at print views, maybe you disable it then. For now, I'm going to keep it on. File brings us to just kind of the main items here. So New, Open, Save, Save As, Print. Those are the main ones we're going to be using. Then you've got a whole bunch of tabs at the top here. Again, this is still kind of similar to what AutoCAD is. Architecture, Structure, Steel. It's a little bit slow. We're not going to use anything. We're going to use Architecture. We're going to use Annotate a little bit when we learn how to set up text dimensions and labeling things in large volumes. Massing and Site will be next semester. We're going to do a little bit of stuff in View in terms of setting up sections and other types of things and manipulating visibility and graphics. Manage, I don't think we're going to do anything this semester. Here's where you can kind of do different settings and stuff like that. If you're doing a shadow study or line weights, things like that, you can find in here. A bit of tools for rendering. That's about it. Once in a while you might have an issue where you open Revit or something goes wrong and the tabs just look like this, or even worse, there's no tab at all, it just looks like that. What I saw very often happen then is that by one way or another you've accidentally clicked this button or hit a shortcut to it. So just go right up to where you find it, right past the Modify button, and click it a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, till it cycles back and you get all of the tools that you wanted. Now before I get into explaining any of the tools, or at least the basic concepts behind them, let's go to the side here. So here you've got a Properties tab. So if I were to draw a wall, and then hit Escape a couple of times, let's look at that wall in 3D. And I click on it, it's going to give me a whole bunch of properties about that wall. You can kind of scroll down and explore them on your own. Base constraint, so where does the base of the wall start? Let's say level 1. Top constraint, level 2. So it's going to make it a little bit shorter. Then you can do various types of offsets, things like that. Again, you can explore those later. In terms of the wall types, just like windows and doors and anything else you can select, you have a bunch of selection in this menu. And then if you want, as I explained in one of the videos, you can hit Edit Type and edit specific things about that wall type as well. Okay. Before you do that, I'd suggest duplicating it so that if you mess things up, you've only messed up a duplicate. You haven't messed up the main one. So that's that. Now, what might happen once in a while is you accidentally close the Properties tab or the project browser and you end up with something like this. So what I would do then is go to View, user interface, project browser, checkbox on that, and properties, checkbox right there. So now let's get into the last part here. This is the project browser. So right now we're on a 3D view. It's kind of like, it lays out your whole building, and so you can double click on various views to see things in different levels. You can see here level 2 we're looking top down on this wall, level 1 we're cutting through it, elevations. There's not a whole lot to look at there right now, but that's how that works. And in here you can also set up your sheets and stuff like that. At the bottom here you've got a couple of tools. We're going to go through each one of these individually in every lecture, but one that might be helpful to have right off the bat is click that little box there, and you can say something like consistent colors, realistic, shaded. Again, it doesn't look like a whole lot here because we only have one wall set up, but it might help you visualize your building as it gets more complicated. Here, this button right here kind of lets you see different levels of detail. Coarse, medium, fine. I usually like to set it at fine. And then in the bottom left here you've got your scale. So I don't think it actually does much in these type of views. I think that's something more you'll use in yeah, it doesn't really do anything in these views. Oh, maybe it changes the notation size around it, but it really does help a lot when you're setting up your sheets. So I think that's all that comes to mind right now to kind of get you oriented in this software. If you start looking at different views, just note that it's going to open up different tabs at the top. You can cycle through and look at these if you want, but if they're not really that useful, just close them. You're not losing the work. All of the work is stored and accessible through the project browser in the bottom right corner. And I think that's it. If there's any other buttons you guys are wondering about or issues you're having, throw them into the send me a message, throw them into the thread, wherever you can. Just find one way or another to let me know, and I'll make another video to show you how to get out of it or fix the problem or whatever the case may be. So that's it. Thanks.